What's up, my beautiful humans? Welcome to this Sunday night soul session live on the Transgender Mentor YouTube channel. In just a few minutes, our good friend, my co-host, Pamela Topjian of Breakthrough Hypnotherapy is going to come on and join us. And I'm really hoping that we get to have our special guest tonight, Corey Schiller of @GooseCaboose2011 from TikTok just might be joining us live tonight. I'm so grateful to have this human being, just a part of my reality at this point. And I have to thank my good friend Pamela Topjian for sending me these videos. As a person who started out on TikTok in the recovery community, I kind of got a bad taste in my mouth. I'm just going to tell you the truth. There was a lot of negativity surrounding, that community, I guess. And not to say that it's all bad, because it's not. My good friend Bradley Bagwell is on there bringing some light and love to that platform. But I've been really impressed with trans TikTok. I mean, I can't even imagine how it can be so much lighter and so much full of love and light and just beautiful people in the world over there on transgender TikTok. I just love it. And so I guess it was just about a week or so ago, Pamela sent me one of Corey's videos. And Corey was talking about something that I really thought I was the only person that felt that way. And that is the dilemmas, the unexpected dilemmas that we face when transitioning into that cisgendered society. We have this picture in our mind when we know we're different, especially from a young age. I knew that my mind and my heart and my body just didn't match. And so we have these daydreams or these dreams for survival that have us pictured living the life of the gender we feel comfortable in. And so we think when we begin transitioning and gender transition and our bodies begin to match our hearts, that it's going to be an easy transition to, go into the gender which we identify in. And it's not. And that's really what I want to talk to, all of you about. I'd like to share some from, my own personal experience, which I always do. We're going to talk to my cisgendered friend, Pamela Topjian, about, the questions that she had about this video, her perceptions of it. And like I said, hopefully we'll get to talk to Corey, the man himself who made that video, and just really hear more about his life and his story. So remember, you don't have to be trans to be here. We are here to help you expand, evolve, and connect just into the understanding of what other people are going through in their lives and what that's like. And we're trying to hope to bring healing through understanding and conversation. Pamela and I have a vision to help change the world one conversation at a time. So I love you guys. No, I love all of you, no matter what you are here for. And so I thank you. But to protect our guest, let's please, if you have questions, awesome. Let's just keep them respectful. That's all. I think that Corey made another video that I thought was just brilliant. That, if you want to ask someone who's different than you questions, just first ask yourself the question and decide whether it would be appropriate if it was asked to you. That's all. Let's just be better humans one to the other. It's not that hard. So let's do it. So if you all are ready, make sure you do all the cool things. If you're there on YouTube or Facebook, make sure you like the video, subscribe to our channel, and turn the bell notification on so you know when we put up new videos, and share this video out. Until we all just come to know that we're all human beings having a different experience, knowing that we're all here with a purpose and for a purpose, we won't change things. So let's grow in love. Let's get ready to evolve, expand, and connect right here on the Transgender Mentor. If you guys are ready, I'm ready, Pamela's ready, so let's do it. What's up, Pamela? Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Hi.
So grateful to have you here. And once again, I just want to thank you so much for just sending me so much amazing TikTok content. Like we
Yeah.
were talking before, I really, being on TikTok, recovery soul food on TikTok, I just got just such a bad vibe. It was so much
Yeah.
negativity, and so I really shied away from it. And I have to say that you, like I said before, I trust your heart. You know me, and you are able to just see good in people, and see what's really healing and good. And so everybody that you've sent to me has just been life changing. And Corey was among the first of those really that just stopped me in my tracks. Like the video,
Yeah.
which we're going to show in just a few minutes, was just stopped me where I was. It said, "Oh man, like I'm not by myself. Like maybe this is somehow normal." Like people really
That's
feel
so
this way.
awesome. Yeah, that's what we want is like, just everybody's just human. So,
That's
you
it.
guys would have the same experiences and that's what we want to connect here that everybody's human, you know?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And Corey actually did, like, I love the transparency, and when I look
Mm,
at I was thinking about Corey
yes.
today when I was going to talk about this on here, and this one phrase, because after I watched the live he did last night with his wife, which was absolutely outstanding, because like I was saying to you before, sometimes I forget that I'm not the only one going through this transition. And it was
Right.
so amazing to hear her perspective and hear what she actually goes through a bit too while this is all going on, that allowed
Right.
me to be able to connect deeper with my wife, to remember that, oh yeah, like she's in this with me, we're in this together,
She's
and
part of this
she's
life. Yeah.
she's part of this, it's not just
Right.
me. But the whole time I was watching that and through today, somebody had asked Corey if he ever thought that he would be, um, I don't remember what he said. I don't think they said a mentor, but they said something to that effect. Did you ever think that you would be a TikTok mentor,
Like a
or
spokesman or something.
yeah,
Yeah.
like, and he said, "Absolutely not." And
Right.
I the thing that came to my heart was, sometimes our purpose finds us. And I really
Mhm.
think that through watching all of Corey's videos, that I think that somehow Corey's part of Corey's purpose found him. And
Yeah.
I'm just really grateful for him, for his wife, just for the ability to be, because you all will see, if you're not already aware of Corey Schiller, at Goose Caboose 2011 on TikTok. If you're not aware of Corey, then Corey doesn't have to say anything about being trans. In all actuality, I mean, he and his wife and his beautiful family could just flow into cisgendered life, and there would be no reason to ever say anything. So that's what I applaud so much about Corey being
Yeah.
willing to be open with his life, open with his family, and his amazing wife to be open with her experience as well. So
Mhm.
we keep talking about this video. So let's just watch this video, and hopefully Corey's going to be able to get on soon with us. Um,
Yeah.
if you guys have any questions, or if any, and I say this a lot, see, I'm already feeling like I'm offending some folks. Please don't be offended by my language. We're trying to just be human here, and love each other. But if y'all have any questions or comments or anything, remember, keep them respective. Drop them in the live chat. We're ready to do this with you. All right, so let's watch this amazing video, and then
Yeah.
we'll have our special guests come on. Now I'm going to try to do this while on. We're going to see if this works. Let's go with it.
A lot of good questions coming my way, and I honestly enjoy answering them. People don't typically ask me questions about my transition in my day to day life. So, to answer this question about whether or not it was difficult to transition into the male culture, and how did it feel, and did it feel natural to me? For me, transitioning into the male culture, I kind of just jumped right into it. I went for a very male dominating career field. I was a mechanic for 10 years. Um, the most gender affirming career you could possibly, get yourself into. It was also the very most difficult career that I've ever been in. I have since changed careers and I am no longer doing that. However, what I did learn was men tend to be, oblivious to a lot of things going on. They kind of see what they want to see, and they don't really question it so much. So for me, sliding into that culture was pretty, seamless for me, so to speak. Now, did it feel natural? No, it did not feel natural. It didn't really feel safe either. It's funny, right? Because when you're transitioning, you want to be seen and accepted by other men. But when you're in that environment of all males, you kind of feel a little uneasy, especially when there are stories being shared back and forth about, past experiences growing up as a boy. And, I can't contribute to that. So that part feels unnatural to me. The other hard part is I don't really feel accepted into the lesbian community either. A community that I was pretty involved in for many, many years. So you're kind of left in this gray area of where do I fit in, right? Because heterosexuality, from the outside, that is what it looks like we fit into, but we're a queer family. I'm not a cis male. So it becomes challenging, and you just need to navigate through your life, the best that you can, and find positive male role models. Hope that answers your question.
What an amazing video. I love that video. So guess what? Corey's here and we get to add him to our stream. Hey, Corey, thanks so much for joining us.
Hey guys, can you hear me okay?
Yep, can hear
Yep.
you perfectly. Man.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, thanks so much for coming on. I mean, I wasn't sure if you were going to get to or not, but it's just such an amazing, just an opportunity to get to talk to you. So when you made that video and my friend Pam sent it to me, I was just, I was in a mid walk and I just stopped because, you said something about safety that I just thought was some kind of strange problem that I had. And to hear you, say something about that, you as, because like I was saying before, you don't have to even say anything about being trans, man. You look like a cis male. That's one of the things that I appreciate about you so much is that, you're willing to share your life and to share something so vulnerable to say, man, I didn't feel safe, was outstanding. Just meant the world to
Yeah,
me.
I definitely didn't expect the responses that I have received. From the very first video that I made, I looked earlier, 3.7 million views. That's amazing, and it was
Right.
just basically saying three things, how long I've been on testosterone. We are open and honest with our family. And I forget what the third one was, but that was basically all it was. And I immediately just got flooded with trans youth, parents of trans youth, just basically saying to me, thank you so much for putting this out there. My son is transgender. It's nice to see an older person that my son could have a normal life.
Yeah. 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 And what a beautiful thing too for, I never would have thought about that, parents of trans youth to be able to see that example and to see, because I mean, you're dealing with something that you have no idea about. You hear the worst in the media. You don't really, it's not like we have role models that we necessarily just get to see in an amazing positive light, because there's always so much surrounding them from, the media. So yeah, I guess your purpose, part of your purpose did find you. Part of your purpose did find you.
And
Absolutely.
it's amazing to me that we have you on here. You had that many, that much people flooding your DMs and your messages and whatever else, however way they can contact you. And here we got you on here, so we really appreciate it.
I'm just,
Yeah.
I'm just, I'm just a regular, old boring guy, a father of two
Well,
girls,
well, we're all just regular old people,
I love
you know.
it.
I'm
But
not,
but
I'm
the
not,
thing is,
I don't feel um, like a star or special,
TikTok famous.
Yeah,
yeah,
there you go.
and I actually think my parents are watching this live right now as
Oh,
well down in
great,
Florida.
Hey, mom and
great.
dad in
So,
Florida.
That's
Absolutely.
awesome.
Yeah, the live that you and your wife did last night again was just, I mean, yeah, I've been through every one of your videos at this point. I was saying earlier in that, I just didn't have a real good feeling about TikTok, because I started out in the recovery community on TikTok, and it wasn't very long. It was just a dark energy, and I've just been so, like, just impressed with the transgender TikTok community, just because it seems like a lot of people are reaching out, not even necessarily just trans people. It's like you said, a lot of families, and just a lot of appreciation, and I've been so grateful for that. And so seeing that live with
Jared,
your wife last night reminded me that I'm not going through this on my own, that my wife is also going through this, and I appreciated that. If make sure you send that along to her, because it was just so eye-opening to me in a lot of ways. And I think that sometimes we don't know how we touch other people when we're being our true honest self, whether that's trans or whatever it is. It's just authenticity. It's amazing.
I agree.
yeah, and
Amazing.
My wife is
even
actually sitting right next to me right now as my emotionally support wife person.
Outstanding. Well, thank you.
So,
Thank you. We want to make this an easy process. Mostly just what we would do here is just have conversations about
mhm.
things that hopefully can do some of the same things that you do on your platform. With Pamela being, a cisgendered female, we just thought there's so much that cisgendered people want to know, and there's, so many ways that we can help people become allies, or we can, show that we're just people, man. We're just people. That's it.
Yeah, it's amazing. I feel like when you first start off in your transition, um, you know, you just want to be able to pass, right? Physically. Um, you don't really think about so much, the internal, the emotional changes.
Right.
I feel like I have changed more emotionally than I have externally.
Yeah.
And one of my recent videos that I made about, you know, um, what it's like living as a cis appearing man in society,
Mm.
and knowing what it's like to also be a female, and the differences that you experience being on either side of that wall.
Yes. Yes. Yes, it's huge. And I watched that video too. And I had it to try to put up. I'm just so scared. So scared to make a mistake and lose one of you trying to put that up. But that was such a big video. Pam and I talked about it like a couple months ago. I live in a small southern town, and there's a restaurant that my wife and I used to go to when we were a lesbian couple, presented as a lesbian couple. And this restaurant was, we couldn't get service. We got the stares, we got the terrible treatment. And we haven't been in this area for like the last 4 years. we went there a couple of months ago to pick up dinner, and I walk in as myself, and these ladies just fell over themselves to serve me, and can I get you this, and can I do that, and what else do you need, honey? And and I'm just standing there going, is this the same place? Oh yeah, it's the same place. I'm
Right.
just not the same according to them.
It's
It's
like it's
it's
like you're in the Twilight Zone,
yeah.
right? That's
Yeah,
how I had a similar experience like that. I think Pam told me you're from North Carolina.
I am. I
Yeah,
am.
so I actually hiked the Appalachian Trail in
Oh,
2011, right?
wow.
And I remember walking through a town, Hot Springs, North
Yep.
Carolina.
Yeah.
And I remember walking through and sitting down in a restaurant there, and the waitress coming over and made a comment to one of the other guests that was also hiking the trail, something to the effect of, why are you wearing pink Crocs? You're a boy. And, he kind of made the statement of, well, I'm a through hiker and I don't have any money, And she then followed it up with, you know, um, every now and again, those gay people come in here and they visit, and we've realized if we just treat them like normal people, they're actually pretty good tippers. And I was just like, I stood there and I was like without skipping a beat, like normal conversation, like nothing. I was like, where? I was like, did anybody else hear this?
Right.
It was
Where am I?
right, exactly. So I do certainly find that a lot of, you know, I feel like the further away you get from large cities, the more ignorant you find people to be.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm in California, and the the difference of California to North Carolina is as much different as, cis and and transgender. I mean,
This
but
is so true.
you can see, same sex couples together. You can see, the we've talked before about how the the male to female transition is much, more apparent to everybody on the outside. And so, and I think that that's what people get confused about. They think that a lot of men that are transgender are, they're going to still look like a woman, or or they're a man dressing as a woman, or a woman dress or something like that, like just dressing up kind of a thing. I
Mhm.
think that's where there's a lot of confusion as to what it really means. And part of the confusion too is that it means something different. There's all different spectrums as far as the hormones and the surgeries and everything, and how people are living their lives to the world. But what was I going to say about that? But yeah, I don't know. I lost that train of thought when I went down that road. Sorry.
Well, I think that one of the important things that you talk about is, and one of the reasons that I wanted to start the Transgender Mentor is because of, what Pam is even saying is when you go to, you know how it is when you start doing your research, when you start looking into things, all you see mostly are timeline photos. You see people's timeline photos. You've got information about surgery. You got all that information, but I didn't find anything about what the emotional transition was going to be like. And I didn't expect it, to tell you the honest truth.
Mm-hmm.
I did not expect how different things were going to be. And
Mm-hmm.
it gets confusing. I've really spent the last year of my life just getting in touch with who am I really? Because you I watched in some of your videos that you knew that you were different, growing up. You didn't necessarily know you were trans, which I didn't either. I'd not heard of being trans. I just thought this is some strange joke. I'm a boy and I got this awful girl suit on that I can't seem to get out of no matter what. And I just felt, out of place. And so you almost put these shields up when you're in the world, and you protect that vulnerability of, this is my secret, or I'm different, or whatever it is. And then who you are starts revealing itself when you begin to start seeing yourself. I mean, I'm wondering what, some of those experiences were like for you. Do you remember? I know it's been a long time, but do you remember what that first, like, I'm different emotional thing was?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I remember it like it was yesterday. Um, you know, I knew I liked girls, right? Back, this was like a long time ago. Things are a
Mhm.
lot easier,
So
thankfully,
much.
for trans
Yeah.
youth now.
Yes.
All I
Yes.
knew was that, all right, I'm a girl. I like girls. I must be a lesbian, right? But it was weird because I I didn't feel like a girl, but I didn't know what are the words to put to it.
Yeah.
Until I moved out of my house, um, and I found a community of transgender people, and I was like, oh my god, these are my people. Like this is exactly how I feel. And I remember the panic I felt having to tell my parents this. I was the only girl of two boys, so I was the
Mm.
only daughter. Um, my parents are, pretty traditional, a little bit on the conservative side. Um, and I was terrified that I kept hearing stories about people coming out to their parents and their parents basically disowning them. And I was petrified. And I actually wrote them an email and then followed it up with a phone call. And I think that they'd never heard of this before. They didn't know what it
Mm.
was. They didn't know how to react. Um, I don't want to get in trouble here because I feel like my parents are listening, you know. But I definitely feel like I remember my mother saying to me like, "Why can't you just be a butch lesbian?"
Mhm.
And my father telling me, "Don't do this. This is going to be, no turning back." My dad's a pharmacist. He knows all the repercussions of, medication.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Um, but I knew that this was never going to go away. Um, I was very close to, I had a few suicide attempts. I was hospitalized, and uh, people ask you like, "What's wrong? What's wrong? What's going on?" Like, I don't know. It's hard to explain. Like, what's
Yeah.
going on? Um, but I'm very thankful that I had positive people in my life. I made a video actually responding to somebody's question about role models that I've had in my life.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the first person that I thought of right away was my father, a
Beautiful.
strong leader. And I hope that, I'm providing and showing my family as much love and support as he did for me.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Yeah, because it is terrifying to, you go through that whole talk where you have to come out now as a lesbian, you go through that one, and then to really, have to I was so afraid to, my mom had a husband who was very much conservative, very against homosexuality, and I had just worked on a relationship with this man where we had come to an understanding where we could be kind of a family, and I got to this place where I to cover up a lot of my pain because I went through a lot of child abuse and stuff as well. I was addicted to drugs for about 22 years of my life, and so, for the past 8 years, I've been in recovery, and, for the first 5, I was healing internal trauma, getting to the root of that addiction, and I went through all the healing, and I got to this place where it's like, okay, you can't skip over this whole transgender thing anymore. You got no more excuses. Your son's 18, there's no more. We gotta, go this route. And I was already I had a pretty large recovery platform on social media. And I kept preaching the lesson of, get to your root causes, heal your roots. And when you heal that pain, you won't be always over, looking for relapse. And I just kept hearing myself, saying, "Don't be a hypocrite, you gotta walk out what you're talking about." And so I just got to this moment where I couldn't put it off anymore. everything lined up to where I had a new doctor come into the practice. I finally get up the nerve to say, I need to do this. And she looks at me and says, well, I'm one of the only 2 hormone replacement doctors in this area, and I would be happy to help you with this. And, I know some of the processes now, that was 3 years ago. The processes now are a bit easier than in 2001 when you started going through. And, so it was a much easier situation. But my biggest fear was having to now go to my mom and her husband and now ruin the few little blocks of a relationship we had built. And that terrifying feeling where we always find ourselves thinking about the comfort, of everyone else out of fear of loss. But I have to say that, the relationship that I have with my family today is a much more authentic relationship, I think, than it ever has been, because I feel comfortable in my own skin. And it's
Yeah,
not perfect.
I definitely feel the same way. I feel like my relationship with my family is 10 times stronger than it was when I was younger, for sure. I talk to my mom almost every day,
That's
and,
amazing.
she doesn't ask me like my business or nothing, she just, treats me like she would, any of my other brothers,
That's
so it's
outstanding.
wonderful, but, one of the surprising things when people always ask me, like, what was the biggest change that you noticed? And I feel like the way I feel in male dominated environments, for sure,
Mm,
it's like it's so hard to explain to cisgendered people. So hard to explain because all your life you just want to be seen as a man,
yeah.
treated as a man.
Yeah.
Then you're put into that male space, but it's like this elite club, right? Where like
Yeah.
women aren't allowed.
Right.
And it's scary.
It is. It's so
The first
scary.
the first time I was like, oh crap, right? Like, what if they find out? What's
Right.
gonna happen to me, right? Are
Right.
they gonna like be waiting for me on my car, or
Right.
if you can't contribute to the conversation, like they kind of look at you like a little awkward, like, what do you mean you didn't have that kind of experience? Aren't you a guy?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that was surprising. The things that you don't think about necessarily when you first start the transition, the male privilege now that you're awarded, right? You never really thought of
Yes.
so much, and
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's really great thing that you guys can contribute to just for feminism even is to know now what it's like compare for women where, cis men, you know, they'll never really understand what it's like for women to just go out and take a walk at night. You can't do that, but if you're but too, I wonder, I was going to ask you, the fear of being, with the men, cis men around, um is it a fear more of them finding out that you're transgender to where they might have, like, you might have hate crimes against you, or is it more of just not feeling like you fully belong that they're going to find out? Is
Oh, what a
that
good
what it is, or
question.
is it a little bit of both?
yeah,
That's
it's a
a
little
good
bit of both.
question.
It's a little bit
Yeah.
of both. Certainly, uh, when you go to the gym, right, and you're changing, there's
Mhm.
guys just walking around like without towels on, and you're like hiding in a bathroom stall, right, changing,
Right.
you know. So yeah, there is an element of fear. Thankfully, I've never been in a position where I felt like I was in any kind of physical danger.
Mm.
Also, to your other point, I feel like the idea of being like discovered, and then being seen as like this intruder,
Yeah.
in this space,
Mm.
and
Yeah.
then like your like the respect is like abolished.
Yeah.
Like, you
Yeah.
lied to me. Like, you're not who you said you
Right.
were.
Yeah. 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 What a great question and an amazing answer too, because I was just around on Friday. I never felt, even when I was a butch lesbian, I never felt I don't even want to say lower. It was like insecure necessarily around men, but as a trans man and only 3 years in to where, some people will still call me ma'am or something, especially when we're masking, having to wear a mask, it's just depends. I kind of feel like this insecurity come over me when I'm around a group of like what you would consider alpha males. I was in a situation where I was around a father and his son the other day, and the son's a Navy SEAL, and the father, fought in the Vietnam War. I mean, they're tall, muscular military men. And I remember just thinking, and the wife said, "Well, hey, are you going to go say hey to my son?" And I was thinking, I'd rather just really not. Like, I'd rather just stay here. And I was getting angry with myself. Like, what's the matter with you? Like, any other time, like, you fall over yourself to just go say hey, and you could stand with that conversation, but there seems to be this unnameable just set of fear that's there, and it's like, do I belong here? I belong in the mirror, but do I belong? And it's just this weird, like that's what I say, like I really, I don't think that you're so a humble guy, just a regular guy. But that's why I say, man, I'm not even sure that what an impact that your videos have, just from the things you said about being able to walk at night. I was walking to my car late from when I got off work a few nights ago, and I realized myself having that fast pace that I had, in female. And then I realized all of a sudden, wait, why am I walking so fast? I don't even have to really do that anymore. And that was a strange moment to have, to be present in that moment of, wow, these are the differences. And it made me feel like even more in my heart for what women go through. And the
Yeah.
fact that I couldn't even acknowledge my feminine side until I started my transition. Like, I couldn't even embrace that side of me until I began my transition. And I don't know, it just makes you a whole person in so many ways. You got so many experiences, and I just want to continue to thank you. And I'll probably say that 100 more times tonight. I just want to thank you because, I don't have a trans community around me. Sometimes it can be a lot of pressure. Sometimes, do you say the right thing? You know, I was going to a support group early in my transition, and I just felt so uptight because everybody else was so uptight. And I had not done a lot of inner healing to where I felt secure in my own skin, and I was afraid to say the wrong thing or do the wrong thing. And so I just kind of gave up on it and stayed in this hermit mode. So I don't have a support community. So you're part of my support community. That's big for me, man. Like, that's big.
Absolutely.
I appreciate that.
We're all in this together, man,
That's for sure.
And
That's for sure.
we're not as visible, as, maybe the M to F side of things are, which
Right,
is,
right.
people always say to me, like, I've never met a transgender person before. I'm like,
Yeah.
I can guarantee you have. You
Right.
just don't know
Right.
it,
Yeah.
That's what
Right,
I always
right.
say.
Guarantee
It's
it.
like, if you think you
Yeah.
don't know anybody, you do.
You do.
Definitely.
I always
Yeah.
say.
Yeah.
Yep, and they
There's,
become, the male to female transhumans, I like to say, they really are heroes to me too, because, like you said, our hormones do a lot for us. The female to male, trans community, our hormones do a lot for us, and for the male to female community, they don't do as much. And so every time I see, a trans woman, I just feel just like this immense pride and just this appreciation for, their courage and to just continue to be who you are in the world. And I just love that. And I think that's how the world is going to change,
Hmm.
is for all of us showing up as who we are unapologetically, and, you know, and teaching people how to treat us just as we would in any other way. We train people on how to treat us by what we will accept and what we won't. And sometimes in our case, it's we can't always control what people are going to say, but we can absolutely control how we ingest it. And Pamela, just through our work together is in the process of becoming an ally and a crisis counselor for the Trevor Project. And I just think that's amazing because that's who we got to reach. That's who we got to reach. You know, as well as I know, what a risk that is for those young people.
Absolutely. When I first started my transition back in 2001, I remember feel like the LGB community was just coming of age. Society was just now accepting them.
Yeah.
Families with two mothers, families with two fathers, right? The transgender word, community was it's like taboo, right?
Yeah.
When people think of the transgender community, they think of what do they think of, right? They think of the Jerry Springer show, right?
Yeah.
These circus freaks, right?
Yep. Yep.
And
Right, right.
so we were kind of forced to live a stealth life,
Yes.
and I lived that way my entire life up until I had children, and that
Mm.
changed everything. Having my children, I felt like it's important to be honest with them. Share my story with them. I show them
Yeah.
pictures of me when I was younger. I
That's
tell them
awesome.
stories. I show them, trans women, trans men, non-binary people. Read them books. Because if you make it a big deal, then it's going to be a big deal for them. And
Yeah.
there's nothing wrong with our family at all. I think our family, is amazing, and I'm proud of us. And there's nothing to be ashamed of. And I think it's important for trans youth to see people like us um, as adults
Yeah.
living happy and normal lives, and that their transition emotionally will not be so hard forever.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah. What a beautiful sentiment, because that is so true. It will not be that hard, this hard forever. And that's amazing. And it
Yeah,
truly is.
I think social media has really helped. I mean, it can hurt as well, but if the trans youth or even any of the LGBTQ community youth coming up, if they are taught to respect themselves regardless, then they won't accept the hate on social media. They'll block accounts. They won't, have a reaction. Um, at least publicly. But like Corey was saying in 2001, um, social media didn't come to be even until what 2007, 8, 9, around there that really blew up, and it just keeps getting bigger. I mean, and I think that's really helping the youth and the families to be able to find these groups and communities and like Lona was saying with uh, the trans TikTok, the trans side of TikTok, even I think the whole LGBTQ side of TikTok is pretty friendly and pretty supportive and pretty encouraging for the most part, from what I see anyway. I'm relatively new on TikTok myself, but I haven't seen too much, hate or anything. But I mean, I know it's there, and I know when a lot of people do their lives, like Corey, you had a monitor, and other people have monitors because they want to get rid of those those trolls and those people that want to.
Yeah, absolutely. I was actually scrolling through this morning, and it's sad because you could almost tell which lives are going to get rushed
Mhm.
with negativity just by seeing it,
Yeah.
And I came across, I forget what the creator's name was, but it was, he was, young, bright blue hair, obviously, hasn't had surgery, hasn't started hormones yet, identified as he was living with his boyfriend or whoever it was, and people were just so mean, because you look male, but his voice was feminine. They're like, "What are you?
Mm.
What's going? I don't understand."
Yeah.
Right? So I raised my hand. I'm like, "Let me get into your guest box right now," and I
Mhm.
did. And I schooled the moderators. I'm like, you need to you need to block these people, make me a
Yeah.
moderator,
Yeah. Why are
and
you
because
moderating if you're not gonna do
right.
it?
And
Yeah.
you could just see in his face, like before I even started talking, like the sadness, the despair, and I was talking to him and I was like, don't look at the comments, just look at me, the
Yeah.
moderators will take care of everything, look at me, we're gonna have a conversation, right?
Mm,
And all of a
nice.
sudden he like sunshine like came over him,
Nice.
and it's
So
things
great.
like that just make me feel warm inside.
Yeah.
I like to think of myself, my parents raised me good, you
Yeah.
know and I have empathy, and when I see, I'm always the one who's rooting for the underdog,
Yeah.
and when
Mhm.
I see so much hate on TikTok, it's
Mm-hmm.
easy to be hateful, right? Because you're
Sure.
hiding behind a screen, you
Yeah.
know it's easy. I feel like I need to say something and
Yeah.
support my fellow, community.
Yeah.
Right. What you would have wanted
Amazing.
done for you if you were on at that age. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't know.
If there was a, such thing as TikTok or social media, when you guys
It's
were younger, just figuring out that you were
yeah,
trans or what exactly you
Yeah.
fell under, whether it was lesbian or trans or what it was
it's
you
it's it's scary
identified as.
to
Yeah.
Mhm.
honestly, thinking about like how my emotional state was when I was younger.
Yeah.
Like despair, like a black hole that I never really thought that I would ever get out of. And
Yes.
I feel like if I was on social media like now, when I was young,
Yeah.
I feel like it would almost like be a death trap for me.
Mm.
Mm,
The
Well,
yeah.
bullying.
yeah. Yeah, because it opens the bullying up, to be bigger, and when, you're in that space, you are
Right.
basically in that vibration of, feeling bullied, feeling, like something's wrong with me, and therefore it's like that's what you'll see the most of, and being physically bullied. I know that I was physically bullied so much because it was always, what are you, a girl or a boy? I was always that thing, that question, and it was there was there was this period in my life where I wore this jacket, and it was in middle school where I wore this big heavy jean jacket all throughout, whether it was 90 degrees outside or whatever, just so I could hide, my chest, because I felt like my body was just like, revolting on me, like it was turning against me. And so, you know, I'm so glad that, that you got to have that impact on that young person,
Mm-hmm.
because that moment could have just reiterated to that person, there's something wrong with you, because it's not the first time, that kid, that young person's heard that. And so having someone like yourself step in and say, nope, 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 we're not going this way. Like, you're a beautiful human. You have
Mm-hmm.
every right to be here just as you are. Don't take this shit. Like, it's okay. You don't have to take this shit.
Mm-hmm.
Defining moment in another human being's life could be a moment that, has that kid step off the edge, of that
Mm-hmm.
ledge.
Yeah. I mean,
Amazing.
I wish I had um, role models like that. Older trans men when I was
Mhm.
young, growing up. I felt like a lot of my transition was kind of like ad hoc, right? I
Yeah.
felt like I was like in uncharted waters, like
Mhm.
I had really nobody to look up to. I just knew people who were like at the same level as me. I wanted someone to look up to see, like, oh my God, you're married, you have a family, you have children. Like, I could have that one day.
Like, this can work.
I had none of that, you
Mm.
know?
Mhm.
So,
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just super appreciative that that you had those kids, and that you decided just to live authentically as who you are, and in their eyes, because look at the confidence, and that they will have in themselves, just for the example that you and your wife set as well. I want to ask you this before our time runs out. Did you find it hard? Now, this is a question that's gonna go way back, but, I remember dating as a lesbian. I always, again, knew that I was different, that I wasn't a regular lesbian, that I wasn't a woman who just liked women, that I was definitely in the wrong body. Did you ever find it hard to date in lesbian? Were you ever honest saying, or did you just embrace that role? Like,
That's my wife is chuckling next to me right now. So it's funny. When I was identifying as a lesbian, I felt like it was easier to date women.
mm,
Um, After I began my transition, I felt like I had more to lose now,
mm,
um,
interesting.
because a lesbian isn't going to want to date me. And if she
Right,
does, like, why would I want to date someone who is a lesbian and seeing me? Like, are they seeing me as a lesbian?
right.
So for a couple of years, actually, like I would just strictly date, heterosexual women. Um, Luckily for me, I've only had one bad outfall from that, and it wasn't anything like overly traumatic, it was like I'd seen her for a couple months, and we were hanging out in her house, and she was like telling me like, "Oh, I really like you," and I could tell like where that was going, and I said, "Listen, we need to have a conversation." And I told her, and she just started crying out of sadness,
Mm,
because she liked me a lot, but she came from a conservative Christian home, and she wanted to have a family of her own, and I would never be able to provide that for her.
mm,
Um, so that was difficult. But yeah, I mean, after transitioning, dating was definitely it was hard. It was
mm,
hard because I did not want to date a lesbian, and I wanted to date a straight woman because if I was dating a straight woman, then she sees me as a man.
yeah, yeah, I
Um,
get that.
but then there's like, I'm sure maybe you understand that feeling as well of your own experiences. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. But yeah, it was definitely extremely difficult dating, and I didn't for a while
Mm.
um, because of that.
Yeah, yeah, I completely understand that statement that you just said described. I remember dating, in my 20s, my late teens and early 20s, and I, of course, would date lesbians, and I would always ask these little questions, only of folks that I, really liked, and was, really having a deeper relationship with. I'd always ask those questions. Well, would you love me if I were a man? Would you still be able to be in this, relationship if I were a man? And many of them said no. And that was so, heartbreaking for me, that I would just shut down that vulnerability. It was like, you open the door and then shut it, and the relationship would always be so tumultuous. And I finally stopped dating, because there was also that thing, is I didn't get to feel like a man. When I was in a lesbian relationship, I felt like a lesbian, a female, and it was really uncomfortable. And I've been with my wife now for 15 years. And she was, after my, thank you, sabbatical of not dating, just to avoid the vulnerability and uncomfortableness, she was the first person, like when I first met her, I said, listen, here's the thing, if you're looking for a regular lesbian relationship, I don't think this is going to work out. And she, had a young son. He was 4 at the time we met. And I always wanted a family with a son, and you know, and she loved me anyway. And so we had been together for 12 years when I, said, okay, I think it's time, how do you feel? What do you think? And her sentiment was, I just want to see you happy. Like, I'm not in love with all your parts. But, at the same time, I did wanna hold the space for her to, be able to kinda grieve that one loss as well, because, she was attracted to women, and the body of a woman. But the thing about it is you find the person that's just attracted to you, your soul, and this is your partner for life. And so, that's why I was, again, so appreciative of you and your wife doing that live, because it reminded me, because testosterone, it does give you a bit of a thick brain. Like there's many differences in men and women. Let's just go on and put it out there. And I sometimes just forget that she's experiencing this too. Like
Right.
it's not just me, she's experiencing it. So even just the little things your wife was saying about being able to tell when your testosterone was low, or that made a difference to my wife, because you know my wife hasn't heard anybody else say that, acknowledge that. So for her, that was just an opening in her self that says, oh wow, so I'm not the only person going through this too. So it was good and amazing in so many ways, and I appreciate all that you've shared with us tonight. And I hope that you will become a staple here. You can come back here anytime you want, and we'd love to have you and your wife on, and just to talk to you guys more and more and more. And also, if you come across any topics that happen in your TikTok, you've got your finger on the pulse more than I do right now in the trans community, especially with the youth. Let us know. Let us know if there's a topic that we should really discuss, or something that's happening, because we just really want to know. And I trust your heart, and I trust everything that you're doing in the world. And so I'd love to hear from you. Just really love to hear from you.
Absolutely. And thank you, Pam, for reaching out to me for
Yeah.
sure.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Pam is the rock star, man. Pam is the rock star of the transgender mentor.
She's the recruiter.
She definitely is. She
I don't mean
is.
to be, and I sometimes feel like I'm being pushy about it, but we have such a, what we're trying to do is to really inform people and bring awareness and educate people. And and it's just obviously we're growing, we're still trying to grow the channel, but we're just there's some really great TikTokers out there, some really great people on other social media too. That I heard somebody on your live talking about, you know, being able to, um, the transgender males that still have female parts and uterus and everything that are having their own babies. There are a few of them, and people have so many questions, and people can be so mean and misunderstanding, and we just, it's just like there's people with so many questions, like, come on, let's talk about this.
Hmm.
So
Yeah, I
it's just
mean, I
so
don't
hard
mind.
to.
I don't mind answering questions at all,
Yeah,
as long
that's
as they
great.
are worded respectively.
Yes,
Absolutely,
yes,
yeah.
So,
yes. We're in the same. That's I try to make that clear. In
Hmm.
every show, is that we want to answer your questions, even if you think that they're too much. If they are respectful. This is
Hmm.
a big open subject. There's so many questions to be had about this, but if they're just coming from a place of wanting to be nosy or nasty, then you know, like I think it was a video that you did about, ask yourself the question first,
Yeah,
and if it's something that you would feel comfortable answering, then ask it. And I think that's an amazing place to be. That's an amazing foundation right there. And
yeah,
I'll be sharing that, from here on out, just with people in general, because we heal through understanding. And also, one thing that I want the trans youth to know, and a lot of other people to know too, is you don't have to understand our
right.
situation to respect us as humans. Like there's so much about cisgender malehood that I'm not ever going to understand, because I haven't had the experience. But if we respect each other as human beings here on earth, having a human experience, we can live here peacefully
mhm.
and love one another. I think that's what it's about.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And just before we end here, one of the things that I get a lot from parents is, my son or my daughter is transgender. What can I do to support them? Right.
Mm,
Yeah,
And
mhm.
I always say to them, like, you being here right now, asking these questions is supporting them.
right,
Yes,
right.
yes. That means so
Anti-bullying stuff,
much.
I think, that's one
Yes.
of the big things, is teaching them not to put up with bullying, how to combat that, as well as, treating others with respect no matter what. That's going to be
Yeah.
the bigger thing, rather than trying to understand what it means, what each letter means, and
Mhm.
is
Yep,
just having
so
respect for
much.
people and anti-bullying stuff. So
Well, we're
yeah,
so grateful that you got the
yeah.
opportunity to come on with us. Anybody who's watching and those that will watch this on the replay, please make sure that you go and check out Corey on TikTok at Goose Caboose 2011. You will not be sorry. It is just an awesome platform to be on. And again, thank you so much for coming
Thank
here
you,
and being
thank
with us.
you.
Corey's information is also in the description on this video so that you can check him out. Make sure you rush right over and follow Corey there. Like I said, you don't have to be trans to get an amazing, just asset out of Corey's content. I think it's for everybody. I think it's just amazing. And Corey, I'm so grateful to have you in my life and my experience at this time. You're a trans brother, and I appreciate you so, so much and really, really do. Pamela, as always, I love you, kid, and I
I
can't wait
love
to
you
see you
too.
again. Corey, thank you, and thank your precious wife, and y'all keep doing what you're doing. It's really making a difference in the world. And the Transgender Mentor, we love you, man. We love you, and we're here to support you.
Thanks to
Thanks
both
so
of you
much.
guys.
All right.
Thank
We'll see
you.
y'all next Sunday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 5 p.m. Pacific. Don't be late. Come be here. Like, share, subscribe, do all that cool stuff, and know that we love you. And just be you in the world. You deserve to be that. All right. We'll see you next time. Bye.